Mark, hi, how's it?
Hi, it's good to be back. We had a nice long break, and to be honest, I didn't mind not having to get up early on a Monday morning, but it's good to be back. And what's new?
Yeah, I just wanted to say we are now posting our podcast on Currency, and we are thrilled that they are allowing us to do so. And we just want to say thanks to everyone who said to us they missed us.
Yeah,
it was
all
an
7
enormous
of you.
number of
Thanks.
people. It was just and we've decided to change the format a little bit. We're going to try and introduce somebody that we're going to interview once every couple of weeks. We'll have a third person on the podcast just to make it a little bit more fun. And we've got some other ideas. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Mark. Obviously, you've missed me a lot. I mean, naturally, people.
Oh, Tim, it's been hell without you, man. It's good to be back. No, it's good to be back, man. I've missed our chats. So hopefully we're going to spice it up a bit. We're going to chop and change it a bit. We're going to make it more interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Okay.
Cool.
Cheers.
Not satisfied with the fact that we are two white guys talking on a podcast, we've invited a third old white guy to join us. This time, fortunately, we have decided to invite somebody with knowledge, experience, good looks, and the whole package. And
no, Tim,
we are
I've always been here.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Hello.
Another person with enormous good looks and charisma, and that is Peter Bruce, my former boss, the editor of Business Day for years and years and years, and who has been really a kind of force in the background of journalism for just a fabulous amount of time. It's a thrill to have you with us, Peter. This is the first time we've ever done this. Can you please say something controversial? Thank you.
Well, I think what you want me to do is talk about a column I wrote to which the headline was something like Patrice Motsepe will be president of the ANC one day, which got an enormous amount of traffic online, I saw, but not as many reads as it had hits. So the headline was what attracted people. And actually, and I don't know if you bothered to read the piece. Nobody seems to really have. They'd all read the headline and went off and made their own judgments. But what I was trying to write about via an early discussion about Patrice Motsepe was something called the district development model, which I'm sure you're both familiar with. It is a sort of it's a staple of local government. We often think in South Africa that the problem isn't ANC policy, it's just the implementation, when actually it's really shit policy that's the problem. The fact that it's not implemented is probably just our good fortune. And the district development model is one of these things, which is basically, having discovered that not every municipality can look after itself, it grouped them all together in the hope that between them all, they'd find a plumber and an electrician and an engineer or something. Anyway, so in Umtata, my old hometown, over the weekend, last week, a very big building, the biggest building in town, burnt down, literally from the 11th floor to the first floor. No one stopped it. There were no fire engines. And all the title deeds in the Transkei about land claims and all gone. Everything's finished. And the district development model I was trying to suggest in this column that's a failure, and would Patrice Motsepe be able to do anything about it?
The weird thing about Patrice Motsepe is that he's actually not standing, or theoretically not standing, and yet he seems to appear in the surveys on popularity of ANC leaders, and not just by a small margin.
Yeah.
You said on Twitter, Peter, you weren't endorsing Patrice Motsepe, but boy, I would in a heartbeat. Why would we not want somebody?
Well, I've done enough endorsing, if you don't mind. So yeah, it's up to other people to endorse people. Okay. I've done my share, but
Mark,
no, it was just.
Do you think having a businessman in government is a good idea? Just just in by the way.
Well, I've begun to question whether popularity is a good foundation for power. Okay. I began to question that whole thing and go like, okay, so the fact that you managed to garner all the votes, does that make you a good leader beyond that particular achievement? And it would be interesting to have someone who's focused on economics rather than politics, looking after the economy. Just a thought. I just ordered a book the other day, which was far thicker than I thought it was, so I'm not going to read it, which is called Team of Rivals. It's about Lincoln and his whole fabulousness. And what we need now is soccer team and rugby team mentalities and common purpose and all of this thing, and a business person in charge. So given the alternative, that's my comment on whether Patrice would be a good. I mean, consider the alternative.
So Tom Eaton in Business Day this morning, which I happen to have read, he endorses Patrice Motsepe. He says Motsepe is actually overqualified to be president. Indeed, when he told Donald Trump in 2020 that Africa loves you, remember, just 2 years after Trump had described Africa as a shithole, Motsepe, he says, reveals two traits required of modern leaders: a Christ-like ability to turn the other cheek, and a pirate-like ability to play whatever crowd is in front of him. Even better, by owning a football club for many years, Motsepe has unwittingly already learned how to run the ANC, employing otherwise unemployable people to fall over and clutch their shins and paying them whether they win or lose.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I actually think it's control alternate delete time. I mean, take something like beyond that district thing that you talked about, Peter. Take something like collecting money for services. How's that dynamic ever going to change? Because I think it's one of our biggest challenges. People don't pay for services. Why? Because they don't get them. Okay. How do you reverse that mentality? You have to start with providing the service before you start demanding the payment. And it's that conundrum that we face across so many metrics in South Africa, which is we've got to fix what's on offer before we can charge for it, before we can ask for investment in it, and all of these things. And so we need a fixer-upper. We need a business mindset, because absent economics, there is no foundation for transformation or growth or inclusion or any of those dynamics that we all yearn for.
But isn't the problem that we've had several business people in government, not least our current president, all of whom sort of clash with culture?
I wouldn't describe him as a business person.
Sorry?
I wouldn't describe any of the leaders I've met as business people.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about further back in time. The former chair of SAB was, once the head of the South African police force. Some guy, I don't know who it was head of the post office. They got some guy as head of the post office. I don't know how that went.
Let's not speak ill of the dead. Let's let people mourn. And, one day I'm going to hope someone unravels the numbers there, but let's not go backwards, let's go forwards. Well, there might be business people who got asked to come into politics, but I don't know of, people who started a business career with the intention to become political leaders. Because the fruits aren't there. Here's one of the challenges. In business, our fortunes are outcome-based, not input-based. We get paid for success, and we thrive because we've achieved things rather than promised things. That fundamental DNA difference between politicians and people who grow and build wealth is the bridge we have to mix, not cross. We can't expect that DNA in both places. We have to have a team of rivals. A composition of differences.
There is also an argument that having a business person within government, is really part of what South Africa is trying to do. South Africa is trying to bind the political system and the private sectors into a joint force to pull the country forward. So it's actually part of the moment. You might argue that it's a good idea to have somebody who can bridge those two very different and competitive sectors. What do you think?
I hope you're enjoying being interviewed by us, because
No.
But let me just say before that's happening, Tim, I'm aware of so many discussions now between business and government, which are very encouraging.
Everybody in this country is looking for, this is the conservative country, right? So if you're a revolutionary, you can leave the country, go somewhere else, because you're not going to have any fun here, really. So people are looking for reliable conservative leaders who they can relate to. And in a way, Motsepe might do that. I have no idea. The DA, with its incoming new leadership, is going to be looking for precisely in the black population those people who want a more conservative answer, more reliable answer to their problems. And there is probably a little fringe where you can make some headway. If Motsepe were to join the race and become leader. And so it'd be much harder for the DA to make those inroads that it thinks it needs to make to grow the party than it would be without somebody. Than it would be with Fikile or Mashatile.
Yeah, there is a contra argument, and we have an extremely good example of why a business leader should not become president. Who's that guy?
Okay, Tim, I can hear you. Hey? I'm in the room. Hey?
No. I'm actually talking about Donald Trump. Because
No.
Not that I'm comparing, Mark. I just want you to know that. But it's easy to confuse the two of you. But here, in this particular instance, I'm talking about Donald Trump. And his, because his presidential mechanism, his presidential modus operandi, is to try and strike deals. He's always trying to import the logic of business into politics and diplomacy.
You flatter him. You flatter him to suggest that he's got
failure.
You flatter him to suggest that he's got any concept of logic. He should be put into one of those soft wall cells and fed soup.
Peter, can you think of any great business person who's been a good politician?
Well, Javier Milei in Argentina seems to be doing quite well. A lot of the British Conservative prime ministers have had private sector careers.
Right.
They haven't been politicians forever. I don't know. Honestly, it's not something I've ever tracked. If you look at Mark Carney in Canada, who's just proving to be the most brilliant leader, he's an ex-banker like Mark. So people can grow into a job or a role. I think a lot of it depends on not whether they want to or not, because some people are thrust into these positions. And I think with Motsepe, he's not running. But that doesn't mean he's not going to get the job.
Yes. You said in your column that he's cursed. He doesn't really have a choice here.
He doesn't have a choice. He's not running, and then he will be running. I mean, because there's no other way to help the country along. Anyway, I mean, I'm sure they're bound to be.
If you're Paul Mashatile now, what do you do to stop him? To stop his momentum?
I think I'd begin to try and speak a little sense about the economy and what needs to be done. I mean, so there's a big investment conference going on in Joburg today, Tuesday.
Today.
Yeah, starts today. And I've done a little monologue online about these things, because it's a bullshit exercise, right? So Cyril sets a target that he knows he's going to meet, and which turns out to be much lower than what you need in terms of fixed investment to get the economy going. So he's now chasing a target of about 10% of GDP in fixed investment, and it sounds like a hell of a lot of money. It's just 2 trillion rand over 5 years, but what Paul Mashatile then could come and do is say, actually, we need double that. It's talk, make some sense. Understand how much harder he has to work, or how much harder we have to work to get anywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing is in reverse, Peter. So what we do is we get elected on a party ticket, and then we decide what to do. And now we're raising money without a purpose. We're just saying we need lots of money. The way you raise money in my world is you first produce what you're going to do with it. You go, this is the project for which we need this money specifically, and it's going to be spent and earned like this. We don't do that. We just go, give us a lot of money because we're in charge, okay? And that's where the flaw starts. For example, someone asked me, how would we fix funding water in Johannesburg? And I said, there's only one way. Have a specific project-driven water bond that is, encircled for that particular project, and you'll raise the money as long as it doesn't go into the Joburg Council Glub Fund.
He's not even raising the money. So what they do for these things, they go around, they ask every company what their operational spend is going to be for the year, or what they are going to be spending, and add it all up, and that becomes the number that they say they're going to chase. So it's a ridiculous, it's a scam, basically.
Peter, while you're here, can we change the topic to something else?
I mean, would you like to move in with us, Peter? Because we've got a space.
Yes. So there's two things that Mark and I desperately want to discuss. One is going back to the moon, because today, in fact, we're going back to the moon. And it is April the 1st, which is kind of creepy. What do you think about going back to the moon? I mean,
No, I like it. I really like it. Partly because, you still come across, and it becomes it's become almost trendy amongst a certain generation of people to not believe we were ever there in the first place. And
We weren't.
yeah, I see. So it would be nice just to finally settle that question. Can it be done? But I quite like the idea, I mean, one of my favorite movies was the one where that big thing sort of hung just off, in space, just off Earth, and you could sort of shoot down to Earth and, and have a bit of rough if you wanted to, and then go back up to your lovely life. And then all of us down here were, just crawling around in the mud. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was a lovely science fiction movie.
Another great movie about NASA, of course, was Hidden Values, which is a movie I strongly recommend about that very clever lady who solved a lot of the mathematics about
Oh yeah.
the moon. It's a lovely movie to watch.
But Mark, I mean, would you go to the moon if they gave you the choice? Would you just like nip on the rocket? I mean, it's a big rocket, I mean, there's risk there, just the taking off part. I think
The descriptions are so technically profound. It's a big rocket. Yeah, it is a big rocket. This is what I'm not impressed with in this new trip. Is they're not going to the moon. Okay.
No,
they're going around the moon. Yeah, it's like, why don't you come with me? We're going to go around Bloemfontein and come back. You go like, okay, that sounds like fun. I mean, I don't get it, actually.
Well, they are going further away from Earth than anyone has ever gone before. I mean, that's something.
Let's go a long way around Bloemfontein, okay, through the Karoo.
They're taking an extra wide loop around, is that right? So
yeah,
that's correct. All right, so that's that topic. What about the other topic of the moment, which is how long do you think the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed? I mean,
well, the Straits of Hormuz are not closed. If the Iranians want you to go through, that's fine. You just can't go through if you're American or British. Or the Straits of Hormuz
some
are fine.
oil to Cuba.
What's the problem? Yeah.
Yes, no, this is true.
They apparently there are about 9 ships going through a day instead of 300 or something like that. But look, we're all in terrible trouble. This is going to cause a global recession, And what I was just thinking, I mean, whatever Cyril is doing today in his investment conference, wait until, this shock is going to hammer us all.
I mean, fortunately, we don't use diesel because we've got all sorts of other sources of power. We don't use any diesel, and that's to our good standing, okay, because we've got all kinds of coal.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with Peter entirely. I mean, what worries me the most about the Trump presidency is not what he's messing up, but the retribution that will follow from those people, who he sought to disrupt. And, and that revenge, which is chilling to be served cold, is going to be what finally happens. So, I don't know what our diesel situation is, but I'm not sure we've got a hell of a lot in a box.
It's not good. I tried to put diesel in my car yesterday. There's none. So there are about 100 petrol stations in the Cape anyway where you can't get diesel now today.
You joking?
Yeah, it's hard to know whether the people are buying, whether we're running out because people are trying to fill up their cars before the price increase, or whether we're just short of, whether the world is short of diesel. But if we're not short of diesel now, we're going to be pretty soon. I mean,
absolutely.
If you talk to kind of experts about this, they will say we're talking a couple of months of constrained oil supply. But I just don't think that's true. I just don't. Maybe it's sort of innate negativity or something. But
you think it'll all be okay?
I just don't see what's to stop it lasting longer. Why you wouldn't, if you were Iran, do that? Because it's to your financial advantage, not even to mention your strategic advantage to close it and keep it closed.
Look, what this is going to do, hopefully, again, is reignite all that discussion which seemed to go away with Trump about, solar power and alternative renewable powers, LNG. We're about to prepare now for a huge, big, and very lucrative for some people, no doubt, gas infrastructure. Because Sasol doesn't want to supply gas to industry any longer, and there's a gas cliff. So we're going to build import terminals. We're going to build pipelines, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, the gas price is completely out of our control. It's gone much higher through the roof than oil has, and we're going to depend on that.
I was interested. It's beyond the obvious. For example, the amount of controlled environment fruit and vegetables that depend on gas for the temperature regulation of their organically grown environment is pervasive. There's not a thing the other night on TV about in Europe how tomatoes are all made there, other than the ones from Spain, are all made in this controlled environment, which is all temperature controlled by gas and so on. And as you say, I'm on the board of a company that uses gas as an input, and it's a real challenge coming down the pike. So all of this stuff has got. I actually think that we're going to move from a weapon war to an economic war. So I think the economics is going to get so persuasive that it's going to drive the weaponry. I don't think it's going to change places. Okay, so people are going to go like, we can't have this oil price anymore, never mind the politics. And so now we're going to have to, the negotiations are going to be around what is affecting the principle. Take here, the gold mining index in February, I think fell 27%. Okay, the JSE in March has had its worst month in 20 years. Okay.
Yes.
And that's because we are, we're at the whipping end of this volatility, particularly given how much gold and all those other variables have moved around. And so a war is fought on its stomach, and we're going there. Economics is going to drive the war, not weaponry, not relative military strength. Relative economic strength.
I was going to say that this is a very good time to end. We invited Peter to come and discuss one thing.
Yeah, and he stayed. We were going to have a little snack, and he's
everything.
moved in here like an Airbnb,
Anyway, Peter, thank you so much for joining us. It was
what worries me the most about this term is we don't look so smart anymore.
I know, it's shocking.
We were right on top of our game, and now we've been shown up.
Yeah, no, they're all very flattering.
I've loved it.
Cool, me too.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. I'm going to stop it here. Unless anybody has something positive to say about anything or anyone. I just wish the astronauts good luck. I'm very impressed with what they're doing. I also think it's a great thing.
I've got one more thing to say. The regulator in the UK has now ruled that auditors can't blame AI for mistakes. I love that. Because that's what they did. They ask someone else to do it and then blame them when it's wrong. It's a beautiful thing. Cheers, everyone. Have a good Easter. Right. Have a good Pesach. Whatever it is you're up to. Have a good break. Cheers.
Take care.
Cheers,
Bye now.
Cheers,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.